Hi guys and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be looking at the SMB protocol. We'll take a quick look at what it is and then we'll look at the fun stuff for looking for any potential misconfigurations by using tools in Kali Linux. So let's just get into what it actually is. I'll set up a couple of Proxmox VMs just to demonstrate it a little bit. So basically SMB server message block is the protocol used for transferring files across a network or printer services. So what that actually looks like is here we got the virtual machine 1, which is Windows 10. So if you was working in an office, for example, you might click on files and then you'd have a shared drive at the bottom. This drive isn't actually local to the machine you're on, as you can see by an IP address. It's actually on a different computer somewhere on the same network, but it's allowing you via SMB to open it up as if it was on your local machine. So if we open up the other, where it's pulling the data from, all it is a folder I've set up here as a shared folder local to this machine here. If we look at the properties of it, this is the PC name, Angela PC, and this is the path, and it's shared with everyone. Obviously, you wouldn't want to do that in real life, but just for demonstration purposes, that's fine. You could also access that directly without having the maps drive, just by going straight to the IP address and the shared name. Now, I've had to sign in previously, that's why it's just opened up, but if you hadn't, you'd be prompted with a sign-in box there. So that's pretty much it at a very high level. And obviously printers are the same thing. So again, if you worked in an office, you might have 20 printers that come up when you choose to print something, but they're obviously not in the same building as yourself. They could be remote at other branches or whatever. So that's what it is. But anyway, let's close that down and get into the fun stuff. Okay. Now for today's examples, I'm using the machine from Hack the Box called Escape 2. If you don't know what Hack the Box is, it's an online platform where you can practice your hacking skills with, I think, 1,500 retired machines at this point in time. So yeah, it's brilliant. It's an excellent resource for practicing and learning. So I'll definitely go and check them out if you haven't already. But yeah, so we're using a machine called Escape 2. I chose this one because it gives you default credentials at the start, which you may actually get on a real pen test from the client. So if I was on an actual engagement, there's loads of tools we can use to see what misconfigurations might be in place, but initially you would perform an nmap scan against the network. But because we've got the IP address already, let's just check this actually. We're connected to it via the VPN, which we are because we're getting a response. So yeah, because we're connected to it already, we know the target. We don't need to scan the whole entire network. But let's start off with the netexec tool. As you can see, I've already ran it because it's already highlighted. So we've got netexec, which used to previously be called crackmap exec. It's just a Swiss Army knife basically for pen testers. It's got all kinds of tools you can use and modules, SMB, WinRM. What else have you got? SMB, LDAP, WinRM, NFS, VNC, WMI, FTP, you get the idea. Loads of different modules we can use, but today we'll be using SMB. So SMB, the target, 10.10.11.51. So initially we'll try unauthenticated access to see what we can find. And like I said, if this was a real engagement, we might actually put in the whole entire network range. So this will scan every IP address in that range and check for this. But because we know the IP and we know we're only working with one machine, we'll just do that and see what comes back. Obviously the shares flag is because we're looking for shares and local auth on the machine. We can remove the local auth and just try without it. Error enumerating shares, status access denied. Let's try that netexec command again. But this time, if we pass in the provided credentials from Hack the Box, which is rows for the username. Let's see what comes up if we put that in. Right. So now we've actually got a listing of what's available to us with these credentials. So we tried a null session or unauthenticated enumeration. That didn't work. So there's nothing there that we could look at. As I showed in the example where I listed it as everybody in the settings for the share. So if we had an everyone here, odds are we would have seen something unauthenticated, possibly. All right, so what have we got? So we've got an admin share, C, we got read on IPC, read on netlogon, read on sysfile. Now these in an actual pen test you would want to look into because you can find scripts and stuff for credentials, but for CTF sort of stuff, you'd be looking at more this kind of thing. Accounting department. Just go back to SMB client. Remove the N because we're actually going to log in with a user. Remove L because we're not listing anything and just put in the IP. And the share name. I'm not sure how we're going to do this with a space. I don't know if I'll be able to escape it maybe. Let's just try. That possibly. Alright. Now, that's not going to work. Capital U. Let's try that then. Was it a capital U? Yeah. Rows. Try that. Right, so now put the backslash there to escape the space. Because obviously you can't just have a space in a command, you need to escape it. And now we've got access to the files. So this is basically like looking at terminal representation of the window and the files that we have. So if you're familiar with Linux commands, ls, list what we can see. D for directory. I don't actually know what A stands for. What does A stand for? Archive? Nah. Let's have a look. What does A stand for in SMB client file listings? Archive bit or attribute. D for directory, R for read only, H for hidden, S for system, A for archive. All right. You learn something new every day. I just knew if I saw A, it wasn't a directory, so there you go. So we've got two files, accounting and accounts. We can show the commands available to us by typing in help. To get a file, we just use get. Let's get counts.xls. Now bear in mind, when you get a file, if I just open up another window here, you see that I'm in the base location for this user. This is where I've opened the SMB client's instance in. So any files you download will go straight to this location. So if we have a quick little look. File accounts. So yeah, we have accounts here. So that is something to bear in mind if you're on a real pen test or something. You probably want to be a bit more organised with your files. It's a shame we haven't got a folder here because we could show you how to download a folder. So for example, if we got into here and there was, I don't know, 10 folders and 50 files, you wouldn't want to manually have to keep typing out get accounts. What you do instead is you would type, instead of just typing get file name, you would type recurse, guessing for recursive, on, prompt, off, and then mget, your folder name. So if there's a folder called, I don't know, HR, it'd be mget HR, and then that would get the whole folder for you and save it as a folder here instead of having to go into each one individually. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's just go back to here. So like I said, instead of having to go into all these individual folders and download stuff manually using get, let's try downloading the whole lot. So the commands are recurse on, prompt off, mget, what's the folder we wanted? Roman. And depending obviously on the size of the file, it might take a while to do that. The size of the folder, sorry. And if we go in here, now you can see the Roman folder. So how long would that have taken to manually go into each of these and start downloading stuff one at a time? It would have took forever. So it's a great little command to know there. Anyway, let's clear that off. X out of here. Clear. We also have SMB map. How do we do SMB with... How do we do SMB with credentials? Dead simple. Rows password. So it kind of has the same output as netexec, doesn't it? So it shows we've got read only on the specific files. I'm guessing if we had write access as well, it'd be read write access. But yeah, that's how we enumerate file misconfigurations without access to the actual machine. Even if you had access to the machine without tools like SMB client and netexec and stuff, we would have to manually come into the folders, see which ones we have access to, and it's just, if you had thousands of folders, it would just take forever to try and sort of sift through. So tools like netexec are brilliant for enumerating misconfigured file shares. Anyway, I hope you found that educational, useful, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.